Welcome to the Intentional Household Podcast. I am Laura Wilson. Today, we have special guest Sarah Cormack from Families Flourishing. If you've ever wondered why your child struggles with skills like planning, organization, time management, then this episode is for you. Sarah is here to break down how those skills develop as our kids age and how we can better support our kids as they develop. Welcome to the episode, Sarah. Sarah, thank you for being here. Before we begin, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself and your background?
Okay, thank you for having me. I'm very excited. My name is Sarah Cormack, and I'm a parent and family wellness coach in North Vancouver. I specifically deal with unique learners and their families and help bridge the gap between home and school. When I talk about unique learners, that encompasses a lot of people, but it's anyone who navigates the world in a unique way, mind or body.
Well, today we're talking about executive function. That was a term I wasn't familiar with before you and I chatted. So can you tell us a bit about what executive function is and why it is referred to as the CEO of the brain?
Okay, so executive function, when I explain to parents, I would say it's the CEO of the brain because it is in charge of the performance of all areas. So like a CEO would be in charge of the finance, the marketing and communications, the business side, strategic planning. That's exactly what executive function is. When I talk about it with kids, I often would say it's like an air traffic control center. So it's in charge of when the planes take off, when they come in, making sure nothing crashes, making sure things are on time. There's so many ways to explain it, but those two seem to land.
Can you tell us about how these skills develop over time and how long the development actually takes?
Yeah, absolutely. So no one is born with executive function skills. So there's something that we learn as we go along. A little baby newborn is born into this world with just, the need to survive. So, it starts around age 2 when these executive skills start to emerge. And it goes right up until 25 when our prefrontal cortex is developed. And even past that, some research says up to age 30. And keep in mind, too, if you have a learning difference or if, for example, you have ADHD or anything that can put you into a unique learner, if you will, you may find that you are 2 years past all these milestones where they predict that executive function skills arise. Yeah, so there are specific ages, and we can certainly go through that as well.
I would love to talk about the age group and what different skills different age groups should have at that time. So let's start with the 2 to 5 year range. I'd love to hear a little bit about what we should expect for those ages.
Of course. And so I'm going to be using the model that was created by Dr. Peg Dawson. Really, there are, it's up for debate how many executive function skills there are, but she really outlines 11 and has some great information that goes along with each of these stages. So the first one would be sort of age 2 to 5, when these skills are starting to emerge. And essentially, the basic one would be, it's called response inhibition, but it's that impulse control. So for example, if a kid is playing with a toy and another kid walks up and snatches it out, right? That's impulse or poor impulse control, because it's like, I want that now, I'm going to take it. So sort of around age 2, you start seeing kids be able to and it's emerging. Let me tell you this, because we all know what 2-year-olds are like, but let's take turns. You play with this truck while I play with this toy. And then you switch. So that's when impulse control starts to come along. The next one would be the emerging of working memory. And this is just for any of us who want to know, and I do this every day. I can maybe hold 3 things in my brain at a time, possibly 4. If I walk down the stairs and I end up in the kitchen and I'm like, why am I here? Why did I come to the kitchen? That's working memory. So it's the ability to hold on to immediate things that are going on. This is a skill that's emerging again at this age, where you can say to your kids, go get me your shoes, please. It's usually one task, possibly 2. Go get me your shoes. They're at the front door. So we start to see those emerge. Or it's dinner time, put away your toys. The next one that's slightly coming in is emotional control. So someone snatches your toy, you hit them, right? What's our, as a parent, like, no, or, however you want to say, gentle hands, we don't hit. It's the ability to be able, for that child to, on impulse, to be able to start controlling that reaction. And so those are starting to emerge as well. So that's 2 to 5. That's before they would hit kindergarten.
So my question for those 3 is whether we as parents can do any sort of strategies to help lay the groundwork so that those skills develop in a manner we want them to develop as they age. So some of those strategies that, or maybe not strategies, but say reactions that the parents were having, are those the strategies, or are there other strategies that we can be doing to support them?
I love it. And I love that you just said reaction, because as parents, it's a knee-jerk reaction sometimes, right? And as a parent, we want to be a guide, and especially when they're young. Obviously, you're making sure that no one's getting hurt, or that the safety is of paramount, and you're trying to model skills. Now, if we have a quick reaction and it's anger, right? Let's say they're running out into the street. Okay, that's a great time to react and be like, grab and like bring in. If all things controlled and it doesn't warrant that reaction, we now have to model emotional regulation, right? So if we react, our kids see that, and then they really don't have the model, which is, breathe, problem solve. I mean, those are higher level executive skills, but we want to model. There's a lot of play-based as well. So you can imagine all those games we know. There could be card games, Go Fish. Simon Says is another one. Red light, green light. It's all impulse control in that sense that you have to stop. And if you move, right, you're tagged out, which is impulse control, right?
Okay.
And or emotional regulation. Yeah.
So they're great games to support that.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Lots of playing those games at our house.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's all connection before correction, if you will. That's a good
like
Dr. Becky term if you follow her work. But it's, it's across the spectrum of always connect before you correct. So you connect through games. It's wonderful.
Does it feel like no matter how much help you hire, the day-to-day stress of running your household doesn't go away? That's because surface solutions don't work. At Intentional Household, we create a complete household ecosystem tailored to your family. With our comprehensive approach, your household will finally feel like it's working for you. Visit intentionalhousehold.com to learn more. Let's move on.
Yeah.
6 to 10-year-olds.
Okay.
What skills are emerging there?
So this is when they're starting to grow skills more so. They're in school. Okay. I mean, I like to look at this holistically, but once they get into school, we start looking at executive function skills from a very academic perspective. However, once they get into school, they need to be able to control again that, keep growing that impulse control, follow simple rules. Okay, so now we're going from like 1 step to 2 step to 3 step. For example, I remember one of my probably all of them, they're good at 1 step, possibly 2 steps a stretch, 3 step, we've lost them, right? So that was my homework to, help them at home. That was the bridge where at home I had to really guide them with that as well, because that's important at school. The next one would be able to plan a small task. Okay, so you can imagine we're scaffolding here to the big stuff when you get older. Plan a small task might be, what book do you want to read today? And go get it. Or, they all sort of weave into one another, but it's just starting those emerging new fundamental skills. Basically, at this point, it's about introducing it so that you can keep building upon it as you go through school.
Well, when you said planning this small task, I immediately thought of my kids because they love to have a good bake sale on the corner of our house.
Oh, yeah.
And so that is it's not so small, but we certainly have them. If they want to do the bake sale, we have them included in the planning process because it's their idea, their vision. And so they're responsible for helping at least to put the plan together.
Yeah. And I like how you said helping, because if you can imagine, you've just laid out something that takes many executive function skills for a kid to do. So you're helping, you're guiding, which is great, but it's planning what you want to, like, let's say you want to bake banana bread. What do you need? What do we need to go shopping for? How big are we going to cut the pieces? How are we going to show this to the rest of the neighborhood? So for a kid that's developing and their skills are developing sort of on cue, that's great, right? And we all know those kids who are super excited. For the other kids, it's overwhelming and they may be like, oh, and then they don't want to engage in it, or they think it's a dumb idea. And then as a parent, we might be like, well, what do you mean it's a dumb idea? It's a family thing, or we thought we'd save the money and go to the zoo or whatever it is. Instead of looking at that behavior where the kid is like, oh, this is dumb, and reprimanding it, you would get curious and be like, okay, what skill might be lagging that the kid is looking to call this dumb? Because
dig deep.
Dig deep, right? Don't take first offense. Dig deep and be like, oh, maybe that child just needs to be the one in charge of what are we selling? Okay. And then all the other thing, might be up to those other planners who are good at it, or you help with those next stages. Yeah. Okay. Usually when you have an emotion come out, dig deep.
Okay. That's something I need to do more of. So a bake sale, I mean, that's certainly something that's optional, but things like getting ready for school, doing homework, they are not optional.
No.
But that can be a very challenging task for some kids to get through. Do you have any strategies on how we as parents can support them through that?
Oh, absolutely. And I share this one because I struggled with it too. So this is absolutely no judgment on any parent because life is crazy. When I'm disorganized, I tend to get more upset when my kids are. So, for example, let's say the morning's not running well. It's usually because I woke up late, or, let's say my partner woke up late, or, there's the laundry wasn't done, or who's making sandwiches, or whatever it could be. But it's usually because the night before I didn't prepare, or there was no preparation. Okay. So as a parent, we have to look at what our strengths and weaknesses are, and really, just do a deep dive into what can I do to help? Because then if you're totally organized and your kid's not, you have given yourself that space to not react and to help move through with your kid. But if you're both running on like crazy chaos and, wear your cleats, I have no idea, your jersey's still smelly, then you got to stop and look at yourself first, because ultimately you're the model.
Got it. Because if we are struggling, then they certainly are struggling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. And it's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, because as parents, we want our kids to do. And how are they supposed to do that if they're not sure what that looks like?
So basically putting that structure, that routine, setting yourself up for success so that you really are on top of things.
Yeah.
Kind of not falling behind so you can stay on top of it. And then you're role modeling the being prepared and not rushed. And then they feel that from you as well.
Yeah. They feel your calm presence. You're not losing. I mean, we all lose it. And I know we talked about this before, like parenting's an imperfect endeavor, but at least if we give ourselves a leg up, then, we're going to be calmer in their presence. And when they go up with emotions, we come down and co-regulate. Yeah.
Okay. Really putting ourselves first. So we take care of ourselves so that we can be in a state to handle them and what comes our and their way.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It seems so counterintuitive to be like, make sure, your oxygen mask's on first, but it has to be, or else you're not going to be much help to your kid.
Okay. Yeah. Love that. Let's move on then to the tweens, 10 to 13-year-olds.
Yes.
Where are they in terms of the executive function skills?
Okay. This is a beautiful stage that is absolutely heartbreaking for most parents, because they're trying to individuate, right? They're trying to push away a little bit. And when, one day you wake up and they're not wanting to hold your hand anymore, and they want you to, not walk with them to school or whatever it may be. But my point is, this is that stage and it's natural. And so this is when we need to listen a lot and give them a bit of autonomy, because that's what they're asking for. And again, with that emotional regulation, usually if you dig under, it's because they're trying to become who they are, individuate, and you're controlling it too much. So at this stage, again, they're developing skills more so. It's not just they're growing it, but they're sort of getting into that stage where they're making it their own. So we're still working on those fundamental skills, which are response inhibition, working memory, emotional control. We start working on flexibility at this point. And flexibility is, it's a hard one. It's hard for adults too, if we never, learned it or were modeled. Life changes. There's always got to be a plan B. And when you butt heads, most often it's because there's no flexibility as well. So this is when that skill is starting to emerge. And there's many strategies to create flexibility. But again, as I just mentioned, plan A, plan B. Okay. So, Friday night's coming. I know you hope to go to the movies. May not work. What's your plan B? And preemptively do it. So when the time comes, you have another plan if the first plan falls through. And then also at this stage, task initiation. So your kid is independently wanting to go to the movies. So sets it up with their friends, chooses a movie, maybe knows how to get there on the bus. If that's not comfortable, asks a parent for a ride. They're starting to not only come up with ideas, but to follow through.
Do mornings in your household feel like a race against the clock? Is the chaos creeping into every part of your life? Intentional Household transforms disorganized homes into peaceful and efficient spaces. We identify and solve the hidden challenges that are stealing your time and energy. Let us show you how we can help at intentionalhousehold.com. That's a tough one when you're a parent who, you have this system in place that you want to maintain, and they love pushing back, and you want to give them some space, but you don't want to come off as too controlling.
Yeah.
And so in this case, it's a challenge, I imagine, to have that plan B, because plan A wasn't even your plan. They've approached you with plan A, and then you have to quickly respond with potentially your plan B.
Which is not always going to be taken well. So again, giving them a bit of autonomy. Hey, this is what I think a plan B should be, but I want your input. Okay. You tell me what you think it should be, and let's find a compromise between you and me. So we both get a little bit of what we want. Yeah. And I think, again, that's not controlling, and it's collaborating, which is huge at this age.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. I mean, because everyone wants to be heard and have their input. So this is your way of being able to seek their input and then kind of work together on the solution.
And also for all parents to know safety. Kids, even though they're pushing you away, they want to be seen, heard, and they also want to be safe. So if you go the other side of the pendulum and you're like, oh yeah, see you later. Here's a bus pass. I'm never going to pick you up again. The kid would be like, oh, I was asking for more space, but I don't know what to do with that. So again, you have to have that healthy balance. And if your plan B is like, hey, I don't feel this is a safe scenario for you, and I don't feel good about letting you, let's say, ride the bus downtown. So my job as a parent is to make sure you're safe, but I do want you to be able to do things on your own. So let's create something that works for us. And then that kid feels safe, seen, and heard at the same time. It's like, okay, my parents haven't just let me do whatever I want.
So say that parent let them go off and said, but you have to be home by 9 p.m. 9 p.m. comes and they're not home. How can a parent coach their kids through being blind to the time, or other things like procrastination, or just having big reactions to things?
Okay. So this is where your coin phrase comes in, intentional. So before the kid goes out, hopefully in part of your strategy, you said, okay, there's this great app we're going to use called, what is it, Life 360, or I'm going to mix it up, but it's basically...
I don't know. My kids aren't there yet.
So I apologize if I have this app wrong, and I do, but it allows you to know where your kids are and they to know where you are. Right. And sometimes that can be seen as like over controlling or whatever. And it's basically how you use it. But if your kid's in grade 8 and they're going to see or let's say grade 7 or 6, and they're going to see a movie, we want to know if they're not home at 9, well, where are they? And so this app allows you to see where they are. So at least that's the first step, is that, okay, I see them. I see their little blip on the map. And then they know where you are as well. So you're intentionally setting up the situation to go well.
Okay.
Right? You're not just saying, go do it and then see them fail. So let's say they have time blindness and they don't know what time it is. A, you know they're safe. And B, hopefully you've set up with the other parents. Hey, our kids, you've been intentional and you've reached out to the other parents and said, our kids are off on the bus. They're going to see a movie. I haven't heard from them. Have you guys? And then without the kids knowing, you still know what's happening. And that's intentionally doing it without controlling and also allowing the kid to feel a bit of autonomy. And when they do get home, then you can have a calm conversation about time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I imagine in terms of procrastination, it could just be anything related to if you're a company and you have priorities that you want to complete in the quarter, it's putting deadlines or maybe milestones in place and setting them up so that they're achieving certain things along the way. Is that kind of thing to help with procrastination?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, procrastination is one of those things that, again, you want to look behind the behavior. You never want to label or shame your child as saying, why are you being so lazy? What's happening here? Like, you can't even get going. So that's task initiation. And procrastination can be seen in those fundamental skills, but it's also in the advanced skills too, which we'll get into when we're talking about the older years. But what's happening behind the procrastination? So then when you get curious, it's like, okay, so there's overwhelm. The kid doesn't even know where to start. There's so many things. So then you get into connection and say, hey, I know what that's like. Like, I get overwhelmed when I have too many things on my plate. How can I support you in this? And then as they get older, I would say, like being in a company, you take the date it's due and you work backwards. Right? So then that's part of the organization and prioritization. There we go. Yeah.
Okay. So you touched on the older group. So now there's 13 to 18 plus.
Yeah. Yeah.
What is in their toolkit?
Okay. So for these skills now, keep in mind, we've been scaffolding all those, fundamental skills. So hopefully then when they're getting to middle school's that gray area. In BC here, we go straight from elementary to high school. So in grade 8, I'm going to put them into the advanced skills. And that would be like planning prioritization. So knowing what has to be done first, right? So if there's 3 things to do, what's the number one thing you have to start with? So that's a huge one. If you don't have task initiation, you're not going to have planning prioritization yet. So you can see how you need one to get to the advanced. Like, if you can't even get started, how are you even going to come up with a plan?
Do you wish there was a way to focus more on your family and personal goals without sacrificing your career? Intentional Household examines your entire household ecosystem to pinpoint inefficiencies and offer targeted solutions. By the time we're done, you'll have a system that frees you from draining tasks and gives you time to live intentionally. Learn more at intentionalhousehold.com. I'm just thinking about how valuable this is because I think I have younger kids.
Yeah.
And I think we expect a lot of them.
Oh, yeah.
And what I'm expecting of them, they may have many years before they're there. And so being able to understand the different milestones and where they should be and what you should realistically expect of them, that's incredibly helpful for people because we put a lot on our kids.
We do. And I think of anybody who's a firstborn, if their siblings after, you put a ton on them, especially if kids are close together, you're needing help. Speaking from experience, my oldest was incredibly good at all these things, basically was like older before their time, but struggled with flexibility. But before, if you just see that, that's just who they are. That's their personality trait, which is true too. It's what makes them totally tenacious. But that's a hard sell when you don't want to do anyone else's plan, or if you're with friends and you're not willing to bend a little. That's when you realize you're like old soul organized child that came out of the womb, already 30 is not that. They're still a little kid, right? And they still need to learn those fundamental skills. And it's not laying too much on them, which is huge as well, because no kid wants to grow up before their time, if can be helped. So moving on to the advanced skill then, like when we have planning and prioritization, the next one would be organization. What do I need to do in order to get this plan going? Okay, so that's like a messy desk. Kids doing homework on their bed where they sleep. Like a lot of times, choose your battles as a parent, but it's like, okay, just take all the stuff off your desk and let's put it in a laundry hamper and put it in the hallway so that you can do your homework with a clear desk. And then we'll go back to that crazy like laundry hamper full of stuff, and I'll help support you. And we'll put that into, we'll create an organized way. Clutter creates clutter. It really, of the mind.
It does.
Yeah.
Yes. We had a previous episode with Oxford Learning High Park, and we're talking about how beneficial it can be for some adults working outside of the home. And it can be just as beneficial for kids tutoring outside of the home because they don't have those distractions of a messy desk at home or just a messy room. So clearing that out of the way can really, and that's an easy solution, right? Like you're saying, right now, the homework needs to get done. So we're going to remove all of this clutter so that you have the space to do your homework. And we will deal with that later, but it is out of your space, out of your mind right now.
Yes, it's like taking your phone and putting it in a different room. It's not a distraction. And then also it gets rid of that shame. Like, why can't I keep it together? It's like, well, you can. Let's deal with that after, though. Yeah, because
otherwise, if they're focused on organizing it, say that evening, they may never get to the homework.
Of course. And then procrastination ensues. So, it's all these little things that you can't figure out why. But when you start picking it away, it makes sense.
It really does come down to figuring out the why and digging deep.
Yeah.
Okay. After organization, what is next?
So time management, again, huge. And, just the time blindness. A child could get lost, a teen could get lost playing video games for like 4 hours. But you ask them to spend 4 minutes on doing the dishwasher, and it's like you've just asked them to like pull their teeth out, right? It's structuring like what is time. So especially if you have a kid who has like ADHD, you might want to say anything that takes you 4 minutes and under, do it now.
Okay.
Right? Because a lot of times with kids with ADHD, it's now and not now. Right? So now, right this minute, and not now 5 seconds after in the future. So it's like, okay, we need to put sort of a gate around that so that when I say, please do the dishes, it'll take you 4 minutes. Here's a timer, go for it.
Wow.
And then structure time like that. If your coat's on the floor, it takes you 30 seconds to hang your coat up and to like move your backpack from the front door that's in the way. It's nothing. It's like they walk in and they're like, whoo, it's all over. But it's like that 20 seconds it takes spares me a 20-second lecture because you're so hungry right now. Like it's just giving time and then doing it when, again, emotional regulation. Okay, let's go grab a snack, eat, get rid of the hangriness. And I'm going to introduce you to a timer, and I promise this timer will never go more than 4 minutes. And then start working what that feels like. Same with homework.
Okay.
Take one task, break. Next question, break. Oh, you think you can do 2? Great, let's do 2. Break. Don't make them sit down to 30 math questions and tears and rage and all those things happening. Like really break it down in time.
That timer really, time. It goes, that lasts long. Like it's not just for the younger years. You're going to use that timer all the way.
Oh, totally.
Until they move out. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. There was this great show when my kids were little on Treehouse. I mean, it was, as any parent would be like, oh my gosh, I can't watch this anymore. But it was called I can't remember what it was, but it was the 10-second tidy. What could you tidy up in 10 seconds? And you count it and, 2-year-olds, 4-year-olds running around, 10-second tidy. And it's not perfect, but it's a way. Okay. So you have to get rid of the perfectionism too. Yeah. That's a whole different topic.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the goal-directed persistence would be another advanced skill. So what are you working for? You want to try out for soccer and make the Metro soccer team. What do you need to do?
Okay.
Right? And what else do you need to do? What else? And then, shorter goals, longer goals. Oh, you need to practice every day. You need to dribble with your left foot. You need to remember your soccer cleats. Like those are all goals. And again, the follow through, you want to persist on those goals. Okay. And then lastly, you might have what we call metacognition. And that usually doesn't happen till the later years. Crudely put, it's thinking about thinking. Okay. That's not always the best way to put it, but it's like, what do I have to do? It's self-reflective. It's awareness. What do I have to do to make this work? Okay. What have I learned in the past that didn't work? What worked? I learn from my failures, right? That's a huge one. I can't always do everything perfect, but I can learn from what didn't go right and improve on them. It's that growth mindset, really, if you will. Okay. Yeah.
So critical, because I think that is a component that many adults haven't developed.
No, the self-awareness. Yeah, that's another podcast as well.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That is incredible. Lots of executive function skills, from 2 all the way up beyond 18, into 25, like you said, or beyond. Yeah. Can you share a success story where supporting an individual's executive function skills has made a difference or an impact on their life?
Oh, gosh, absolutely. I think a lot of times it's those small wins that happen every single day that you may not feel in the moment like it's a winning situation. But if you can recall 6 months ago, it's huge. So you see a kid really struggling to grapple with not reacting to things or, not moving through an emotion, but rather, letting it take over. And one day you've introduced, let's say, an emotional wheel, and they are like, get it away. I hate, like my kids, for example, Mom, why do we always talk emotions? I'm like, oh, it's just what I do. But, and you get pushback. But one day they say something that's, belongs on not, I'm just angry or irritated or that's so cringy. It's like, well, I'm really exhausted and and hungry, and I won't be able to talk about anything until these needs are met. And then I can not react and be like, don't you tell me when you're going to talk to me. We're talking now. It'd be like, well, okay, I get it. And so, you fuel them up, you let them do what they do. And then you're like, thank you. That was really good warning for me. Wow. And I appreciate it. That takes years, but you see it. And I think those little wins, like, for example, from a parent perspective, are massive. From, a coaching perspective or, in the realm of what I do, I see that all the time with little kids in school. So especially the little ones that don't want to go to school. And then by the end of the year, they're excited. They want to go to school. They've got a handle on their worries, and their some days are bad, but they know how to get through it. And you get this little kid who's telling with like big eyes and you're like, oh, great, that must feel so good for you, and those little wins. And from a teenage perspective, it would just be that initial buy-in takes a while, right? No one wants to be told what to do at all. And when you come in and you're not a parent or guardian, but you're a trusted adult and you can relate to them and help them get where they would like to go. Again, it's baby steps, but it's incredible. And you see that with their IEPs as it changed through the years, with their goals on their IEPs, so individual education plans, and they can see it too, and they take pride in it. So,
wow. Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Sarah, thank you so much for being here. I learned so much from you.
Oh, my pleasure.
And I would love, you know what? I think that we will get this as a handout so that parents can see exactly when those executive function skills are developing and for the certain ages, because that would be incredibly helpful for parents to see and definitely for myself as well. So thank you so much, Sarah.
Oh, my pleasure. As you said, there'll be information for you. I have lots of resources. If you want any more information, you can go to my website, which is familiesflourishing.ca. I have an Instagram at Families Flourishing, Facebook, all the socials. But if you want more information, asking questions, just send me an email and I'd be happy to help. This has been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And we'll be sure
to include your information on our Instagram as well and on this podcast.
Oh, thank you. This has been so much fun.